Every world hides its secrets, and some beings belong to more than one. I am born of two worlds where science meets spirituality and reality collides with imagination. Welcome to the space between worlds. The night was quiet, almost too quiet. A silver moon hung over the dark forest, and the wind whispered through the trees like it was hiding a secret. Mark Dalton held his old satellite phone tightly. The signal light blinked weakly, just one bar left. He looked around the empty woods. No sound of birds, no sound of insects. Only silence and the distant hum of something unnatural. Mark had been searching for the missing research team for 3 days. They were studying strange energy readings near the ruins of an ancient castle. The last message from them had been a single broken transmission. It's not human, it's alive in the light. Then nothing. Mark's boots crunched over the leaves as he reached the edge of a clearing. In the middle stood a stone statue, wings spread wide, face hidden in shadow. It looked like an angel, but something about it felt wrong. Its eyes seemed to follow him, even in the dark. He sighed and raised the phone again. "Base, this is Dalton. I've reached the site, no sign of the team yet." The signal cracked, static filled his ear. Then a voice came through, soft, melodic, almost like a whisper directly in his mind. "You shouldn't have come alone, human." Mark froze. He turned around fast, shining his flashlight across the trees. Nothing, just fog and darkness. His heart pounded. "Who's there?" he shouted. Silence. Then a faint laugh. It was low, musical and disturbingly calm. He gripped his lantern tighter. "I'm not here to fight," he said carefully. "I'm looking for my friends." "They called for help too," the voice said, "but help came too late." The light from his lantern flickered, the air grew cold. Mark's breath turned white. He slowly stepped backward. "Show yourself." The shadows shifted. Something moved behind the statue. A figure stepped forward, tall, graceful, and glowing faintly under the moonlight. She had long white hair that shimmered like frost, and her skin was pale green, almost luminous. Her eyes glowed golden, and sharp fangs flashed when she smiled. Behind her, large wings unfolded, wings that looked both angelic and dangerous. Mark couldn't move. His mind screamed to run, but his body was frozen. She was beautiful and terrifying. "What are you?" he whispered. She tilted her head, her smile widening. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." Her voice was calm but heavy, as if it carried centuries of pain. She stepped closer, and Mark could smell something sweet like roses mixed with metal. His lantern light flickered against her armor, silver with strange carvings that glowed faintly. "Stay back," he warned. His voice cracked a little. She laughed softly. "If I wanted to hurt you, you'd already be on the ground." Her eyes glowed brighter. "Tell me, why are you really here?" Mark swallowed hard. "I told you. I'm looking for my team. They disappeared near this place." She nodded slowly. "Yes, I remember them." She looked up toward the moon, and her voice softened. "They saw what they were not meant to see." "What do you mean?" Mark asked. She turned her gaze back to him, and for the first time her expression changed, a flicker of sadness. "They found the gate." Before Mark could ask more, the ground trembled slightly. A deep, low hum came from beneath the earth. The lantern's flame wavered. Somewhere in the forest, something growled, deep and inhuman. Mark took a step back, ready to run, but the woman lifted her hand. "Don't move," she said sharply. "It can smell fear." "What can?" Mark whispered. Before she could answer, a shadow darted between the trees. The creature was fast, too fast to see clearly. Only glowing red eyes flashed in the darkness. It circled them, growling, scraping the ground with sharp claws. Mark's instincts kicked in. He dropped his lantern and reached for his sidearm. "What the hell is that?" The woman didn't answer. She spread her wings, and a wave of light rippled from her body, pushing the fog back. "A mistake," she said softly. "One that must never escape this place." She stepped forward, her wings glowing brighter. The creature lunged, but before it could reach them, she moved faster than his eyes could follow. A flash of silver. A sound like breaking glass. Then silence. Mark stood frozen, breathing hard. The creature was gone, vanished into mist. The woman stood still, her hand glowing faintly with golden light. She turned to face him, her eyes fierce and yet almost playful. "You're brave," she said, "or maybe just stupid." Mark let out a nervous laugh. "Maybe both." She smiled again, a smile that was both dangerous and beautiful. Then, before he could stop himself, his mouth moved faster than his brain. I panicked and told the alien vampire woman, "You have a nice ass." For a moment, there was complete silence. Then she blinked once, twice, and laughed. A deep, haunting laugh that echoed through the forest. "You're bold, human, I like that." Mark's face turned red. "I didn't mean I." She stepped closer, her eyes locking onto his. "You'll do fine," she whispered. "I think I'll keep you alive for now." The wind picked up again, and the moonlight glowed brighter behind her wings. Mark didn't know if he should feel relieved or terrified. But one thing was clear, this was only the beginning. Somewhere in the distance, the deep hum began again, louder this time, and from beneath the earth something else started to wake up. The night had grown heavier, the air thick with strange energy. The wind had stopped. The forest stood silent, too silent. Even the stars above seemed to hide behind clouds, as if afraid to watch what would happen next. Mark stood frozen beside the glowing winged woman. His lantern flickered weakly, and his mind still echoed with what he had just blurted out. "You have a nice ass." He wished the ground would swallow him whole, but the woman only smiled, that mysterious, knowing smile that made him both nervous and curious. "You humans always speak before thinking," she said softly. "It's one of your dangerous charms." Mark cleared his throat. "Look, about what I said." She raised her hand, silencing him instantly. Her eyes glowed golden again. "Quiet, it listens when you speak." Mark frowned. What are you talking about?" She turned toward the forest. The trees around them began to shake slightly, as if something massive moved beneath the ground. Then from far below came the same low humming sound, but stronger now. It made Mark's bones vibrate. "The gate is waking," she whispered. Before Mark could ask, she began walking fast, her wings folded close to her back. Her armor gleamed silver under the moonlight. Mark grabbed his bag and followed. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Away from the surface," she replied, "before the gate fully opens." They reached the edge of a cliff. Below, Mark saw faint blue lights glowing through the cracks of the earth like veins of energy pulsing under the ground. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. "Is that the gate?" She nodded slowly. "It's not really a door. It's more like a wound, something from another world that should have never been opened." Mark stared at her. "Who are you? What are you really?" She looked at him for a long time, her golden eyes reflecting the lantern's flame. "I am what your kind once called a seraphim, but your scientists would call me something else now, an alien vampire, as you say." Mark blinked. "You're joking, right?" Her smile faded. "Do I look like I'm joking?" He glanced at her fangs. "Not even a little." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I feed on energy, not blood, but what's inside that gate, it feeds on everything. It consumes light, life, and even time itself." A sudden chill swept through the air. The ground rumbled again. Mark saw the blue light flare brighter beneath the cracks. "We need to go," she said urgently. They ran down a narrow path that led into the ruins of the ancient castle. The walls were half broken, covered with vines and strange markings that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Inside, the air felt charged, like standing near a storm before lightning struck. Mark followed her into a large underground hall. At the far end, a circular platform stood surrounded by 6 tall crystal pillars. The crystals pulsed with dim blue light. "What is this place?" Mark asked, breathing hard. "A seal," she said. "My people built it long ago to keep the gate closed, but someone broke the balance." She touched one of the crystals and her hand glowed. The crystal responded, shining brighter for a moment, then dimming again. Mark watched carefully. "You mean the research team, my friends?" Her wings drooped slightly. "Yes, they were trying to understand the energy. They thought it was a power source, but they didn't realize the energy was alive." Mark's stomach turned cold. "Alive," she nodded. "It speaks, it promises power, But once you listen, it never stops whispering. As if on cue, Mark heard something faint, a distant voice calling his name. "Mark, help me," he froze. It sounded like Dr. Reed, the leader of the missing team. "Did you hear that?" She shook her head. "No one is calling you." "I heard him," Mark insisted. "He's alive." He started toward the far tunnel, but she blocked his way, grabbing his arm with a strength that surprised him. "That's not your friend, that's the gate talking." Mark hesitated. "How can you be so sure?" She looked at him sadly. "Because it once called me too." For a moment, Mark saw something in her eyes, pain, regret, and a kind of ancient loneliness. Before he could say anything, the ground shook violently. One of the crystal pillars cracked, sending sparks of blue energy into the air. The voice grew louder. "Mark, we found the light, help us open it." He clutched his head. "It's so loud." The woman spread her wings, glowing fiercely. "Stay behind me." A wave of energy burst from the cracked pillar, slamming into the walls. The symbols on the floor began to twist and move like living things. Shadows crawled out from the cracks, stretching long fingers toward them. Mark stumbled back. "What the hell are those?" "Echoes," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Fragments of what the gate consumed." She raised her hand, releasing a flash of golden light. The shadows screamed and retreated. The energy in the room slowly calmed, though the crack in the pillar still glowed dangerously. Mark looked around, shaken. "If that's just a crack, what happens if the whole thing opens?" She met his gaze. "Then your world becomes like mine, empty." Silence filled the hall for a moment. Mark took a deep breath. "So what do we do?" The woman's wings folded close again. "We find the key before the gate does." Mark frowned. "The key." She looked straight at him. "Your team had it, and now it's calling for you." The cracked crystal still glowed faintly behind them, whispering in a voice too soft to understand. The air around the ruins pulsed with low vibrations, like a heart buried beneath stone. Mark followed the alien woman down a dark corridor, the lantern's flame swaying as they walked. The tunnel walls were rough, carved with symbols that looked almost alive in the flickering light. Every few seconds, Mark thought he heard footsteps, light ones echoing behind him, but when he turned, there was only shadow. "Something's following us," he said quietly. The woman didn't look back. "I know, you're not going to do anything about it." Her golden eyes glowed faintly. "If it wanted to attack, it already would have." Mark frowned. "That's not very comforting." She gave a small smile. "It's not supposed to be." They stopped at a metal gate built into the stone. Strange energy pulsed through it like a heartbeat. The woman placed her hand on it and symbols appeared under her touch, glowing in silver light. The gate slid open silently, revealing a chamber full of broken machinery, dusty screens, and scattered papers. Mark recognized some of it, human equipment. "This was their lab," he said. The woman nodded slowly. "Your people were clever. They came close to understanding the gate's pulse." Too close. Mark walked over to a cracked monitor. It blinked with faint blue light, repeating a single message. "Key located, subject Dalton." Mark, his stomach dropped. "That's my name." The woman stepped closer, her expression unreadable. "I told you the gate wants you." Mark turned to her. "But why me? I wasn't even part of the original team. I just came to find them." Her wings shifted slightly. "Maybe that's exactly why. You're untainted. The gate always seeks balance. It needs a heart that hasn't yet chosen light or darkness." He gave her a puzzled look. "You're talking like it's alive." She gazed at the cracked ceiling. "It is, and it listens to everything." Suddenly, a low static filled the room. The broken radios on the table crackled to life. A distorted human voice echoed through them, calm yet wrong. "Mark, it's Dr. Reed. We're safe now. Come find us." Mark's breath caught. "That's him. He's alive." The woman's eyes narrowed. "No, that's not him." But before she could stop him, Mark grabbed the radio. "Reed, it's me. Where are you?" The voice replied, clearer this time. "Follow the light, Mark. We found paradise down here." The lantern flickered again, and the blue light from the cracked crystal outside began to seep into the hallway. It pulsed brighter, filling the chamber with a strange glow. The woman hissed softly, wings flaring. "It's pulling you in, don't listen." Mark stumbled backward, clutching his head. The voice grew louder, echoing not from the radio now, but from inside his mind. "You can save them, Mark, if you open the door. Stop it," he yelled. The woman reached him, pressing her hand to his chest. A wave of golden light spread from her palm, breaking the blue glow around them. The voice vanished instantly. Mark gasped for breath, trembling. What was that? She looked at him seriously. "The gate doesn't just call, it chooses. It's trying to see if you'll obey." Mark stared at her, heart pounding. "You keep saying it wants me, for what?" She turned away, silent for a moment. Then she whispered, "To replace the key that was lost." Before Mark could ask, a deep growl echoed from the corridor behind them. Both turned at once. The shadows in the tunnel were moving again, but this time they had shape. Dozens of dark, half-formed creatures crawled out from the walls, their bodies like smoke with glowing eyes, their mouths filled with jagged light. Mark froze. "You said they were just echoes." "They are," she said grimly, summoning a spear of golden light. "But now the gate gives them form." The creatures lunged. She moved with impossible speed, wings flashing as she cut through them, light and shadow colliding in bursts of color. Each hit made the room shake. Mark ducked behind a table, pulling out his sidearm. He fired uselessly. The bullets passed through the creatures like smoke. "Run," she shouted. "I'm not leaving you." "Then stay close." She spun, slamming her glowing hand into the ground. A wave of golden light spread out, dissolving the creatures nearest to them. The rest hissed and backed away, fading into mist. For a brief moment, silence returned. Mark stood, breathing hard. "You could have warned me that they can come back." She smiled faintly. "You wouldn't have believed me anyway." He gave a nervous laugh. "Fair point." But then, from behind her, one last shadow rose, taller, darker than the others. It moved fast, slamming into her and throwing her against the wall. Her wings flickered weakly. "Hey!" Mark shouted. He grabbed a metal rod from the floor and swung, hitting the creature right through its glowing chest. It screamed, dissolving into ash. He rushed to her side. "You okay?" Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faint gold. "You touched it." Mark frowned. "Yeah, I hit it. What else was I supposed to do?" She stared at him in shock. "You shouldn't have been able to. No human can touch an echo without being consumed." Mark looked at his hand. Faint blue light still pulsed across his skin like veins. "What does that mean?" She sat up slowly, studying him. "It means the gate has already marked you." The room went quiet again. Mark looked at his glowing hand, then at her. "Can you remove it?" She shook her head. "No, the mark can't be removed. It can only be fulfilled." "Fulfilled how?" Her expression darkened. "By opening the gate, or by dying before it does." The light on Mark's hand pulsed like a heartbeat, slow at first, then faster, matching his fear. Every beat filled the air with a faint hum, the same sound that came from the gate deep below the ruins. He stared at it, trying to make sense of what had happened. The alien woman, Serafina, watched him closely, her golden eyes glowing faintly through the dust. "You said the gate marked me," he said. "What does that mean exactly?" She looked down, her wings folding tightly behind her. "It means the gate sees you now. It knows your shape, your breath, your thoughts. Wherever you go, it will find you." Mark swallowed hard. "So I'm cursed." Serafina tilted her head. "No, chosen, but that might be worse." He laughed nervously. "Yeah, sounds great, chosen by a door that eats planets." She didn't smile. "You still joke, that's good. Fear hasn't taken you yet." Mark rubbed his glowing hand. The light shifted color slightly from blue to a soft white, then back again. "It's warm," he said quietly, "like it's alive." Serafina nodded. "It is. A piece of the gate lives inside you now." They stood in silence for a moment, surrounded by the soft hum of ancient energy. The air in the ruined lab felt heavier, like the stones themselves were listening. Finally, Serafina turned toward the exit tunnel. "We need to reach the lower chamber. The real seal lies there." Mark followed, still watching his hand. "And what happens if we get there?" "If we're lucky," she said, "you live. If not," she gave a faint, humorless smile, "you die faster than I did." Mark frowned. "Wait, you died?" She glanced at him. "Once, long ago. My body lived, but my soul stayed near the gate. It remade me in its own image. He looked at her differently now, not just as something strange and alien, but as something broken. "So you're not a monster," he said softly. "You're a survivor." Serafina stopped walking. For the first time, her expression softened, truly softened. "No one has called me that before." Mark shrugged slightly. "Well, you saved my life twice already. Monsters don't usually do that." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Careful, human. Compliments can be dangerous." Mark grinned. "So can you." They both laughed quietly just for a second before the sound of cracking stone echoed from somewhere behind them. The laughter died instantly. "Something's moving again," Mark whispered. Serafina spread her wings. "No, something's awakening." They hurried through the narrow corridor until it opened into a massive underground cavern. The ceiling glowed with blue veins of light, like lightning trapped in rock. In the center stood a huge circular platform, metal, ancient, half-buried. "This is it," Serafina said. "The lower seal." Mark stepped closer. Strange symbols ran across the platform, glowing faintly. His marked hand pulsed brighter as he approached. "It's reacting to me," he said. She nodded. "It recognizes its own. Can we shut it down? Maybe. But first, you must understand what it wants." Mark gave her a suspicious look. "Why do I get the feeling that's bad news?" Serafina stepped closer to him. "Because truth often is." She reached out and touched his marked hand. The moment her skin brushed his, both their eyes glowed, his blue, hers gold. The air shimmered around them, and Mark felt a rush of visions explode inside his head. He saw stars collapsing. He saw worlds torn apart by light. He saw her standing on a burning planet, her wings blackened, her eyes filled with tears. Then he saw the gate, a giant ring of energy floating in darkness, whispering like a living thing. He stumbled back, gasping. "What was that?" Serafina looked shaken. "You saw the truth. My world opened the first gate. It gave us power beyond measure until it took everything back." She turned away, her voice quiet. "It used me to close it. I thought I destroyed it forever. But your people found the pieces and woke it again." Mark's stomach sank. "So my team, they thought they were discovering ancient tech, but they were feeding a god that never sleeps." The ground trembled suddenly. The seal on the platform began to glow, bright and violent. The hum in the air turned into a deep, booming pulse. "Serafina," Mark said, "what's happening?" She spun toward him, eyes wide. "It's sensing the mark inside you. You're triggering the gate." He stepped back, panicking. "I didn't do anything." The mark on his hand burned bright white. Pain shot up his arm. He screamed. The air twisted and a circle of energy appeared above the platform, swirling like a black sun. From inside the light, shapes began to crawl out, dark, winged, whispering in voices that weren't human. Serafina shouted, "Don't look at them," but it was too late. Mark glanced up and everything froze. The light dimmed. The creatures stopped moving, and then they bowed. Serafina's voice broke the silence. "They're kneeling." Mark's voice trembled. "Why?" She stared at him, disbelief in her eyes. "Because the gate doesn't see you as prey anymore." He frowned. "Then what does it see me as?" Her expression hardened. "As its new master." The blue light exploded, shaking the cavern. The echo of the gate's voice filled Mark's mind, whispering his name over and over. "Mark, the world above is dying. Open the path. Be the light that ends all light." Mark fell to his knees, clutching his head. "Get it out." Serafina grabbed him, holding his face. "Listen to me. Fight it. You are not its puppet." He gasped for breath, his eyes flickering between blue and gold. "Serafina, I can hear them." She looked at him in horror. "Then we're out of time." The air in the cavern was no longer still. It breathed. Every few seconds the walls pulsed like living skin, glowing veins running through stone. The gate's hum had turned into a steady rhythm, deep, hypnotic, almost like a heartbeat. Mark stood near the glowing platform, his hands still shining with blue and white light. His pulse beat in sync with the gates, as if something inside him had locked onto its rhythm. Serafina watched him carefully. Her wings flickered with golden sparks, a sign of fear she tried to hide. "Mark," she said quietly, "you must resist it. If it wakes completely, no world will survive." He looked at her, breathing hard. "I can't resist it. It's inside me now. Then we'll cut it out if we must." Her voice was calm, but her eyes trembled. Suddenly, the mark on his hand flared white-hot. He screamed, dropping to his knees. Blue fire erupted from the cracks in the floor, spreading in circles around him. "Mark!" Serafina ran forward, but an invisible force threw her back. A column of light shot upward, hitting the cavern ceiling. Dust and broken rock rained down as the gate itself began to open slowly, like a giant eye awakening after centuries of sleep. From inside the light came whispers, countless voices, all speaking at once. Some begged, some laughed, some screamed. "Mark Dalton, our new vessel." Mark's head snapped up. His eyes glowed bright blue now, no pupils, no white, just endless light. "Serafina," his voice sounded layered like a dozen voices inside one. "I can see everything, every world, every star. It's beautiful." She stepped toward him, shaking her head. "No, that beauty is a lie. The gate shows what you desire most to make you surrender." He smiled faintly. "I can bring them back, my team, I can see them." "They're gone, Mark," she shouted. "What you see are ghosts, reflections made to trap you." But the light around him grew brighter. The voices inside his mind whispered louder, soothing, promising, endless. "They're waiting for you, Mark. Open the way, save them." Serafina closed her eyes, her wings trembling. Then she did something she hadn't done in 1,000 years. She prayed. "Ancient light, forgive me for what I must do." She spread her wings wide. Golden feathers burst into flame, swirling around her like falling stars. The cavern filled with blinding light. Mark flinched, shouting, "What are you doing?" Breaking the link, she flew toward him, fast as lightning, and slammed her hand against his chest. A blast of energy exploded through the chamber. The light around Mark shattered for a moment. He gasped, falling forward into her arms. The glow in his eyes flickered, fading to normal. She caught him, breathing hard. "Stay with me, human." Mark blinked weakly. "I saw them, my team, they were screaming." Serafina looked into his eyes. "They are gone, but not lost. Their energy is part of the gate now. That's why we must seal it before it devours you too." But even as she spoke, the cavern began to twist. The walls turned liquid, shapes forming in the light. Faces, hands. The whispers returned, louder, angrier. "You cannot seal what has no end." Serafina turned, wings flaring again. "Oh, I can try." She reached for her weapon, a long silver spear glowing gold at its edge. As she lifted it, the entire cavern shook violently. Huge cracks split the floor. From one of those cracks, a massive figure began to rise, tall, skeletal, wrapped in light and shadow. Its face was hidden, its voice booming like thunder. "The guardian of the gate," Serafina whispered. Mark stood, swaying on his feet. "That's a guardian. It protects the balance," she said, "and it will kill anything that tries to close the gate." The creature's hand moved too fast. Serafina blocked with her spear, but the impact threw her across the room. Mark ran toward her, but the ground split open beneath him. He barely managed to grab a ledge. "Stay back," she shouted. He looked up at the monster, its empty eyes locked onto him. For a moment it hesitated. "The mark, it belongs to me," it said in a voice that rattled the rocks. Mark felt something deep inside his mind stir, that same ancient voice that had whispered before. "Yes, come to me." Serafina landed beside him, pulling him up. "Don't listen. You are stronger than it." Mark's hand burned again, but this time he didn't scream. He looked straight at the creature and raised his hand toward it. The light burst from his palm, not blue, not gold, but something new. Silver white, pure. It struck the guardian, making it stagger. Serafina stared in disbelief. That's not the gate's power." Mark's voice shook. "Then what is it?" She smiled faintly, her face lit by the glow. "It's yours." The guardian roared, collapsing into mist. The light in the cavern dimmed. The gate's hum quieted, but only for a moment. Mark fell to his knees, breathing hard. "Did we stop it?" Serafina looked at the swirling energy above them. "No, you only delayed it, but now it fears you." He looked at his glowing hand again. It should, I'm done being its puppet. A faint smile touched her lips. Good, then we fight together. Mark met her gaze. Until the end. Or until the beginning, she said softly, and behind them, deep within the light, a new voice whispered, calm, cold, and ancient. The end is the beginning. The echo of the ancient voice still lingered in the air. The end is the beginning. Its tone was calm, almost gentle, but the meaning behind it felt heavy, dangerous, endless. Mark stood near the fading light of the gate, his heartbeat slowly returning to normal. Dust and blue mist floated around them. His hand, still glowing faintly silver, pulsed like a living thing. Serafina walked toward him quietly, her wings half-folded, feathers glowing dim gold. Her face looked different now, not fierce or guarded, but tired, almost human. "You did something impossible," she said softly. "You made the gate bleed." Mark looked up, confused. Bleed, it's energy, it can't bleed. She shook her head. Everything alive can bleed, even the universe. He gave a weak laugh. That's comforting, but she didn't smile. Instead, she crouched beside him and placed a hand on the stone floor. "Do you hear it?" Glistened. At first only silence. Then a faint sound like whispers carried by wind, thousands of them layered together. "What is that?" Serafina's eyes glowed faintly. "Souls of my world, the ones who opened the first gate, they've been trapped between realities ever since." Mark stared at her. "You mean your people are still alive?" She hesitated. "Not alive, not dead either. They exist as echoes, memories with voices. The gate keeps them." He frowned. "Keeps them. Why?" "Because it learns through them," she said. "Every soul it consumes becomes part of its mind." The whispers grew louder, swirling around them like invisible ghosts. Some sounded curious, some sad, and some angry. "Serafina," one voice hissed. "You promised," she froze. "No," she whispered, trembling. "That's not real." Mark watched as she backed away. "What's wrong?" "It's them," she said, her voice shaking. "The fallen ones, my soldiers. I left them when the gate took them. They think I betrayed them." The whispers twisted into screams. The air shimmered and ghostly figures began to form, tall, winged shapes with hollow eyes and broken armor. Mark raised his glowing hand. "Serafina, they're coming." She stood still, tears forming in her glowing eyes. "They don't want to fight. They want justice." The first echo stepped forward, a ghostly warrior with half a face, the other half replaced by flickering light. Its voice was cold, metallic, and filled with grief. "You sealed us out, Commander. You saved yourself and left us in the dark." Serafina shook her head. "I tried to close it to stop the spread. I didn't know you could still feel." "We felt everything," the ghost said. "The burning, the hunger, the silence." The other echoes surrounded her, whispering her name, thousands of voices overlapping like waves. Mark stepped in front of her. "Stop, she's trying to fix it." The ghost turned to him. "And who are you, human? Another thief of light?" Mark met its hollow gaze. "No, just someone stupid enough to help." For a moment the echoes hesitated, their glowing eyes flickered, confused. Serafina looked at Mark, surprised. "They listened to you," he swallowed. "Maybe because the gate marked me, maybe it sees me as part of itself." He took a slow step forward. "If the gate trapped you, maybe I can reach it, talk to it." Serafina grabbed his arm. "No, you open that link again, it will consume you completely." But the whispers were calling louder now, echoing his name. "Mark, join us, free us." The silver light in his hand began to glow again. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I'll try to control it." Serafina's voice broke. "Mark, please," but it was too late. The light burst from his hand again, not wild like before, but focused, pure. The echoes froze, caught in its glow. For a second everything went silent. Then one by one the ghostly warriors began to change. Their broken faces softened, their eyes turned white, peaceful. "Thank you," one whispered. "We remember the sun now." They vanished, leaving only a soft golden mist behind. Serafina stared at him, speechless. "You freed them." Mark blinked, exhausted. "I didn't mean to." "No," she said quietly. "You chose to." He sat down heavily on the cold stone. "They were suffering. I couldn't just watch." She knelt beside him. Do you realize what that means? The gate feeds on pain. You gave it peace, you weakened it. Mark looked at his hand. Maybe it can be undone. Seraphina's expression changed. Hope flickered in her eyes for the first time. If you can change its nature, you might be able to end it forever. But before she could say more, the cavern trembled violently. The walls cracked again, and a blinding red light burst from the ground. Seraphina looked up sharply. No, that's not possible. Mark stood. What now? A deep, rumbling voice filled the air, not the gate this time, something else, something older. The gate is not the end, it said. It was made by hands far greater, and now its maker awakens. The light expanded, forming a colossal shape above them, neither human nor alien, but something vast and mechanical with eyes like dying stars. Mark whispered, "Seraphina, what is that?" She stared at it in terror. "That is the architect, the one who built the gate, the one who ended my world." The colossal figure spoke again, voice like thunder through time. "The key has awoken, the cycle begins anew." Mark's glowing hand flared brighter, almost blinding. The ground split beneath him, pulling him toward the swirling light. Seraphina reached out, shouting his name. "Mark!" He looked at her as the light swallowed him. "Don't let it win." Then he was gone. The cavern went silent. Only Seraphina remained, kneeling in the golden dust of the fallen souls, staring into the light where he had vanished. "You fool," she whispered. "You saved me again." She looked up at the red glow in the distance. "But now I must save you, darkness, endless and cold." Mark floated weightless in a space without stars, without sound. Time didn't move here, or maybe it moved too fast for him to notice. His glowing hand still pulsed, faint silver against the black. Then a voice deep, ancient, and calm. "You are the last key. The design is almost complete." Mark turned toward the sound. Out of the dark, the colossal figure appeared, the architect. Its body was made of stone and light, its face shifting between shapes, human, alien, machine. "Where am I?" Mark asked. His voice echoed, endless. "Inside the gate," the architect said. "The heart of creation, the place where all things end and begin again." Mark frowned. "You made it, didn't you, the gate?" The architect's form flickered, eyes burning red. "Yes, I built it to give life meaning, to recycle dying worlds into new beginnings, but your kind corrupted it." "My kind, humans," it said simply. "You spread fast, you consume, you fear endings, so you built machines to escape death. You reopened my gate and turned rebirth into hunger." Mark's jaw tightened. "We didn't know." "Ignorance," the architect said, "is still destruction." Mark clenched his glowing hand. "Then stop it, you're the creator, shut it down." The giant tilted its head. "I cannot, the gate obeys only the key, and now you are the key." Mark's eyes widened. "You mean I can destroy it?" "No," the voice thundered. "You can choose. Either close it forever and erase everything it holds, or open it and let all worlds merge as one." Mark's heart pounded. Erase or merge, both sound like endings. "There are no endings," the architect said softly. "Only new patterns." The darkness rippled. For a moment Mark saw visions, Earth burning under alien skies, oceans turning red, stars collapsing like glass. Then flashes of peace, new worlds forming, life glowing in strange colors. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed. "I can't make that choice." "Then someone else will," said a familiar voice behind him. Mark turned. Seraphina stood there, her wings glowing gold, her eyes fierce and wet with tears. "You found me," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "You never really left. The mark led me here." The architect's voice boomed again. "The angel of failure returns." Seraphina's wings flared. "I'm no angel of failure. I am what you made and what you lost." "You sealed your world to protect it," the architect said, "and in doing so you doomed it." Her voice shook. "Then let me undo that mistake now." She turned to Mark. "Listen to me. The gate doesn't want peace. It wants continuation. If you merge the worlds, everything dies, slowly swallowed by eternity." Mark stared at her. "And if I close it?" She stepped closer, her golden eyes burning with pain. "Then it will vanish, and everything connected to it will vanish too." He froze. "Everything connected, you mean you?" She nodded silently. Yes, I'm a part of it now. The gate dies, so do I. Mark's heart dropped. There has to be another way, she smiled sadly. There never is. The architect's voice echoed again. Choose key, creation, or silence. Mark clenched his fists, shaking. No, not like this. There has to be balance, something between the two. The architect leaned forward. Balance is a lie. Every choice kills something. Mark looked at Serafina. Her wings shimmered softly, every feather trembling like candlelight. She stepped closer, placing her hand on his chest. You have something even the architect doesn't, she whispered. Compassion, that's your power. He swallowed hard. If I choose to close it, will it hurt? She smiled gently, only for a moment. The silver light from his hand began to spread across his arm, his chest, his face. His eyes glowed bright white. What if I can give you peace instead of death? Serafina shook her head. Don't try to save me, Mark. Save them. Save everyone. Tears welled in his eyes. You saved me first. She smiled, the same haunting, beautiful smile from that first night in the forest. Then we're even. The architect raised its colossal hand. Time has ended. Choose. Mark looked at Serafina one last time. If I fail, she touched his face. Then I'll find you in the next world. He nodded slowly. Then he lifted his glowing hand toward the heart of the gate. The entire void trembled. The silver light from him merged with the blue and gold of the gate, twisting together into something pure and blinding. The architect roared. You defy the design. Mark shouted back, his voice echoing across the cosmos. Then I'll make my own. The light consumed everything. For a moment there was only silence. Then warmth. When the light faded, Mark opened his eyes. He stood in a green field under a blue sky. Birds sang. The air smelled of rain. He looked down. His hand was normal, no mark, no glow. In the distance stood the ruins of the old castle, half covered in vines. He took a deep breath. I'm home. A soft voice behind him said, You did it. He turned. Serafina stood there faint, glowing, her wings transparent like light on water. Mark's voice broke. You're alive, she smiled. Not alive, remembered. He stepped closer, but she was fading. Stay. I can't, she said softly. The gate is gone. The balance is restored, but I'll always be part of the world you saved. He reached out, his hand passing through her like mist. I'll never forget you. She smiled one last time. Then I'll never truly leave. The wind carried her voice away, gentle and warm. Goodbye, Mark Dalton. He stood alone, watching the horizon. The sun rose slowly, turning the sky gold. Mark whispered, Goodbye, Serafina. Then he walked toward the light, the dawn of a new world, born from the end of the old, the end Milky Way. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to become part of this story. This is born of two worlds where reality ends and imagination begins.